Afternoon, all. My name is Neal Humphrey. Welcome to another episode of the Deepwatch Overwatch podcast. This is going to be a quick one, just as we're all kind of getting ready for the next major hit in the security summer, and talking about getting ready for Fal.Con, starting next week out in Vegas. So our favorite place to go experience some heat. Today, I'm joined with Curt Aubley, the Deepwatch COO and CPO. And we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like what we've seen in the market since Black Hat, and kind of specifically some of the things that we're interested in happening or interested in seeing at Fal.Con next week. Which, oh, by the way, self plug, will be at booth 1260 if you can drop by and say hello. So, Curt, I'll open up with you. Like, it's been relatively quiet over the last couple of weeks since we last left Vegas. But anything in particular that you think is notable that we should talk about?
Well, good day, Neal, and thanks everybody for joining us on this high-paced webcast today. Well, one, it would be great if our security conferences went to other cities besides Las Vegas. So it sounds exciting to go to Las Vegas, and for us, it's fly in, you work, you fly out kind of an activity. When we look at the market today, customers are still having challenges in the cyber world, and we're seeing very large breaches happening across the board, from losing data still to very large-scale ransomware, all the way down to infrastructure. So unfortunately, that hasn't changed, and we are seeing an increase in adversaries across the board. And that includes an increase in ransomware and an increase in compromising of identities and cloud computing.
Any one thing that we have to kind of hit on that I wanted to get your opinion, because I personally thought they coming out of Black Hat, it was a really good job done. Is obviously there was some things that occurred with some vendors and some very well known vendors and partners of even ours right before Black Hat, and I think there was actually a really good job done talking about making sure it doesn't happen again, and some of the resiliency that needs to be taken into account, and a lot of conversations that have been had around resilience kind of moving forward. Is that kind of what you've heard as well in talking to prospects and talking to the market, that was kind of the general feeling out?
When we talk about resilience, a lot of times people are like, oh, what does that mean? And the reality is resilience means bad things happen in your enterprise, and when they happen, can you keep your business going? Now, unfortunately, we did have a big event recently where the ability to control and test, having good change management, configuration management, and roll out new patches, new capabilities in a phased fashion, so you can validate it's working for your enterprise, because everybody has different applications and different systems out there. Some are a little older, some a little newer. And I think that recent event that happened, and by the way, it happens to everybody. Cybersecurity is a team sport. IT is a team sport. And it doesn't matter if it's a large cloud provider that goes down for a little bit, or a patch Tuesday that went out and maybe caused a few problems. Stuff happens. And I think that's really highlighted for our industry, for us all to look at resiliency. Just notice that the GRU out of Russia just has been noted by U.S. defense officials that they have a new group that just targets undersea cables, right? For our networking. So now you're thinking, wow, I have to start thinking that the internet alone is not enough. I have to start thinking of SATCOM and other types of capabilities to be resilient. So it's not really a one company problem. We, as an industry, have to go back to thinking about your resilience, disaster recovery, continuity of operations, and good old-fashioned disaster recovery. Not exciting topics, but very important.
On the topic, this is an awful way of phrasing this. On the topic of topics, but in looking at being out at Fal.Con next week, there's a couple of interesting talks that we've highlighted. Again, self-serving plug for ourselves. We do have a pretty good AI talk coming up on our own with Chris Checco, our global head of AI, and Arnie Shimo, our new VP of architecture. But are there any other ones in particular you think that would be interesting to look at or make sure that you're interested in paying attention to?
Well, I've got to call out our friends, of course. When Chris Checo and Arnie Shimo, really experienced industry experts. I mean, we've been working with our partners, CrowdStrike and Cribble, and our own technologies and our customers about how do we help them transition from where they are to either optimizing for their current SIMs or moving to a new next-gen SIM, realizing maybe the capabilities aren't the same, but focused on both cyber outcomes, leveraging AI, and then how do you optimize your cyber spend? And there's trade-offs, right? As you make any changes on all those different combinations. So I'm really looking forward to Chris and Arnie's session. But I think one of the exciting ones is we're going to see the NVIDIA. So executives are coming in as well. And a lot of times you think of NVIDIA as a silicon company, a graphics company. We all know them in the AI world. They're a hot company. But if you look at it, they've been spending a lot of time in their software ecosystem, now building full systems as well as their silicon. And I think that'll be an exciting one of how the AI world is matured enough to really start applying and getting actual ROI on the cyber use cases that AI is being applied to.
Cool. On a couple that I'd like to throw out just for my own. I wish I was going so I could see some of these, but there are, like you mentioned, some of our good friends and partners, whether we're talking about Torque or Cribble or AWS or even Google, moving forward. There's a large number of talks around there's some on strategies for security success that Corwell or an agri-science company, Corteva, are putting together. That one would be interesting for me in talking about how do we report some of the security resiliency that you were talking about? How do we discuss or show success within security moving forward? A lot of AI native components. I know one thing that we're trying to think a lot head on, and I think that, for example, Checo and others, not to steal their thunder, may point out, is the need for more of a unified AI mechanism. We're starting to see a lot of, same way that we see a lot of disparate data sets and different types of logs coming into SOCs, coming into SIEMs historically, which now people are talking about migration at the enterprise level. But we're seeing a lot of AIs start to pop up. And in the same way we can have different schemas, same way we can have different data fabrics or data architectures, we need to start talking about the unifications of those AIs and how are we going to build a translator or a connection fabric for those to be able to move back and forth in a secure manner as well. And I think that would be an interesting thing to listen to in a lot of these AI talks that are coming out.
Yeah, it really is, because we've gone through a transition of people having all these point tools, and we're starting to consolidate down to a few platforms, not just one, but a few platforms. In fact, our own Deepwatch platform works across multiple platforms and bring that all together in a unified fashion. But when you think about it, now we have all these AIs, right? So do you really want 90 different AIs like you used to have 90 different tools? Well, probably not. But each one of these different AIs have some great use cases. They're working on different data sets. So, form follows function. You might want a certain AI leveraged from one of our partners, be it, like you mentioned, Torque or Splunk or CrowdStrike or Cribble or AWS and many others, right? So you might want to leverage their AIs for certain use cases, but you may want to bring all of that data in a secure guardrail fashion to be then able to do AI across the AIs. So asking those AI questions and bringing them all together, but then integrating that with data that's contextually relevant and actionable for your environment. So leveraging the best of AIs, kind of like how we leverage the best of platforms today. So look for those vendors and partners that actually have API access to their AIs, because we do want to automate this, because we want to optimize the data spend and really maximize the impact that we can make.
And on that note, I know this is a fairly brief and abbreviated recording for us for putting this stuff together. I do think this is a incredibly interesting topic and extremely timely for the marketplace and the discussion of AI, APIs, kind of the unification process. Can we learn from our mistakes of the past, right? Individual point solutions that don't talk to each other is a whole bunch of sticks to fall on. It does not feel good, right? They don't make a bed. So the things to think about, look forward. I would definitely want everyone to kind of watch this space as well as we talk about data fabrics or security data architectures, or even going back to some older open data components that have been discussed specifically by us is something to keep in mind and start seeing. Data has always been the problem in security, whether it's something that we're watching to protect or something that we are attempting to protect people from stealing, like 272 million social security numbers just recently. So think that ahead, and as CISO and as a capability, let us know what we missed on, what you find interesting at Fal.Con, and kind of how we can talk about that particular conundrum a little bit better. And on that note, go ahead, Curt. Sorry, last words.
Neal, I wanted to thank you for having me on today, and thank all our viewers that take a few minutes with us. Just kind of end with this as we talk about AI and these different tools. You still have to understand your business and the adversaries. So whatever you do decide to work with, first, it has to be effective against adversaries. Second, it has to be efficient to help you with your cyber spend. You don't want to double buy. And candidly, it should be easy to work with so your operators and your engineers can be effective. So with that, cyber is a team sport. Excited to see you at Fal.Con.
Thanks, everybody. You all enjoy yourselves. Have fun. Talk to you soon.